So let's take something that we already know and look at it this time from a different perspective. If I gave you the expression 2 plus 3, you would say 5. No problem. But in your mind's eye, you probably thought, well, 2 is like having 2 purple marbles, and 3 is like having 3 orange marbles. And if I were to put them all together on the other side of an equals sign, how many would I have altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is like counting. You count 2, 1, 2, then you count 3, 1, 2, 3, put them all together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we want to look at what happens when, instead of thinking of it as counting objects, we want to think of it as adding objects. So first, we're going to talk about adding integers. And remember, integers include the counting numbers. Integers are all of the counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on and on and on to infinity. And that's how many things do you have, just like we did up here. But integers also include 0, which is not a counting number. You never say, let's see how many spoons I have in my drawer. 0, 1, 2. We never do that. That's not part of the counting numbers, but it is part of the whole numbers. Actually, when we just add 0, we're talking about the whole numbers. But then as soon as I add the opposites of the counting numbers, -1, -2, and so on, all the way to negative infinity, as soon as I add all of the opposites, now I'm talking about the integers. So instead of thinking of counting as addition, we're going to look at what happens if we use adding on the number line to find values. So instead of counting 2 plus 2 equals the value 5, we want to add 2, then add 3, and when we're done, we'll see that we're at 5 on the number line. So to start the process, let's think of a number line as a line written or drawn on the floor, and that you're standing right in the middle of the line at 0. So that's like being at home spot. And if you take one step forward, you end up at 1. And if you take another step, you end up at 2. And another step, you end up at 3. Another step, you end up at 4. And let's go 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's go that far. And then it goes obviously on to infinity if you kept walking in that direction. If, on the other hand, you had started at 0, and instead of facing forward into time, forward numbers, you decided instead to turn around and take one step. -1. One more step would take you to -2. One more step would take you to -3. One more step would take you to -4, -5, -6, and then you would go on and on and on to negative infinity. Okay, so we want to look at this model where you're standing on a line and you're taking steps, and we're going to count steps. You also could be going in the forward direction, or you could be going in the opposite direction. So turn around to go in the opposite direction would be a turnaround. So if you're a person standing or kneeling, that's not what that was supposed to look like. If you're a person, let's see if I can do this in stick figures, and your knee, ankle, foot, and you're walking. Okay, I can't do this. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. Let's say that you're a person and you're standing on the sidewalk and you're going forward. That helps. So you're a zombie and you're standing on the number 0 on the sidewalk and you're headed in this direction. Okay, that would be going in the normal or forward or the right direction. And notice it's on the right hand side. It's going toward your right hand. If, on the other hand, you were standing on the sidewalk and you turned around, you would now be going in the opposite direction or opposite the right direction. We're going to use that as we add and subtract numbers. I'm not going to try to draw another person or zombie, by the way. So let's do 2 plus 3 equals 5 on the number line. Well, let's just do 2 plus 3 equals, and the number line is going to tell us what it equals. So 2 plus 3, we always start at 0, and we're always headed in the right direction. So 2 tells us to go 2 steps in the right-hand direction. 1, 2. Now mark where you are. You're at 2, and you're still going the right direction. Plus 3 says keep going in the right direction. 1, 2, 3. But where am I now? I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm standing at the number 5, and so 2 plus 3 equals 5. So this is the difference between adding integers and counting things. And algebra is about, or developing algebraic skills, is about thinking of numbers as adding and subtracting an operation rather than counting just an action. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, if I get the same answer in the end, why does it matter? Well, let me show you. Something that you can't really do in counting fully is negative integers. Remember the opposite side. So if I want to take the number 2 and I want to add to 2, this time I'm going to add a negative 3. What does that mean, add a negative 3? Well, if we think of it as counting, then we're going to start at 0 and we're going to be headed in the right direction. And the first thing tells me to take 2 steps forward. 1, 2, and mark where I am. And I'm still going the right direction. Plus, of course, plus is going in the right direction, but now I have a minus. Plus minus 3. Remember, minus in algebra means opposite. So we could call these the minus numbers, but what we really mean is negative 1 is the opposite of 1. Negative 2 is the opposite of 2. Negative 3 is the opposite of 3, but 4 is the opposite of negative 3. So on both directions, we can consider what's on the other side of 0 as the opposite. So let's look at what happens. I started at 2 and I took 2 steps. Plus means you're doing good, positive, go in the right direction. Minus means turn around. Remember, the zombie has to turn around and go in the opposite direction. Minus means turn around. And now I want to go, after I've turned around, I want to take 3 steps. Well, my first step takes me backward. My second step just takes me right back to where I was. My third step takes me to, what is this? This is 1 step in the opposite direction. And so the answer to this is negative 1. Because we thought of it as steps either forward in the right direction or backward in the opposite direction. So as numbers get more and more complicated, you can see how this method could be much more valuable than thinking in terms of counting. Let's do some examples. So we're going to use a number line to find the sum negative 5 plus 7. So this is just a set of instructions. We're always a zombie starting at 0. And now let's just take piece by piece as we work through this. The first thing I see is a negative, which means opposite. So I was a zombie headed in the right direction, but I'm going to turn around and go the opposite direction now. So I've gone the opposite. Now I want to take 5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's figure out where I am. I'm at negative 5. And now, because I want to be doing the right thing, I'm going to turn back around and head the right direction. Every time I end up somewhere, I turn back around to be facing the right direction. So my next instruction is a plus, means keep doing what you're doing. I'm headed the right direction, so I'm going to keep going the right direction. And then my next and last step says go 7 steps in that direction. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And where am I? I'm at a positive 2. So minus 5 plus 7 equals 2. Let's do another one. Negative 4 plus negative 8. Okay, so 8 is a pretty big number, so I want to make sure I have lots of room to work, so I'm going to put my 0 here where I have more room to work. So I'm a zombie standing at 0, headed the right direction. My first instruction is a minus, so that means turn around, go the opposite direction. My next instruction is to take 4 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm at -4. I'm going the right direction. Plus says keep going the right direction, but minus says turn around again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Where am I? I'm at, well, -4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm at -12, and so that's the answer. Okay, so one more. What happens when you have a bunch of things you're adding and subtracting? 10 plus -12 plus -8. Yikes. Well, it's just a set of instructions. I'm going to start on 0, headed the right direction. I'm going to step 10 times, then I'll be headed the right direction. Minus says turn around, go 12 times, headed the right direction, plus turn around 8 times and see where I am. So I started 0. I want to go 10, headed the right direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm at 10, headed the right direction. Plus says keep going the right direction. Minus, turn around, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 takes me back to 0. 11, 12. I'm at -2, headed the right direction. Plus says keep going the right direction. Minus says turn around again 8 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And where am I? Well, I have 8 and 2. So what is 8 plus 2 more units in the opposite direction from 0? -10. And so that solution is -10. So this could go on forever, and you just keep bouncing up and down the number line. What happens, though, when you're working with giant numbers? So suppose what I want to find is -38 plus -14. What if I want to find that answer? Well, I can do the number line, but I don't know about you. I know zombies can go on and on forever, but I don't really want to bounce 38 times. That's crazy. So let's use instead the fact that we understand quantities and use just one big bounce to represent the bounce that we just did. So what would we have? We started 0, headed the right direction. Our first instruction says turn around and bounce 38 times. So I'm just going to represent 38. If I bounced 38 times, I would be at -38, right? I don't have to count 38 times. I can just take one big one and say I'm at -38. I'm going the right direction. Next instruction says plus, keep doing what you're doing. Minus says turn around and go 14 more. So I'm going to go 14 this time. Where am I? Well, I'm at -38 plus 14 more negatives in the opposite direction. Well, 38 plus 14, the answer is going to be negative 38, let's see, I can do this in my head. 38, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. Okay, so I did a little bit in my head and a little bit on my fingers. But the answer then is -52. Using big numbers, I just wanted to know where am I going to end up. After I get to -38, am I going to go more negative, or am I going to go this direction and have a smaller negative value? The instructions are in the initial problem, my negative, which direction am I going, and then my numbers I already know how to work with. If I think about them like counting marbles, I can still do that part, but whether it's positive or negative comes out of the instructions. Let's do one more. Let's find -21 plus 29. Okay, on the number line. I'm a zombie starting at 0, headed the right direction. First instruction's to go minus, so I'm going to turn around, and now I want to take 21 steps. And if I do that, I'm going to be here at negative 21. Headed the right direction. Plus says I'm doing good, so go 29. Now I'm going to go 29 in this direction, but notice what happens. Going 29 in this direction, well, 21 of those just takes me to 0. So when I go back to 0, I've gone 21 steps, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 21 plus 29 equals 8. Let's do that again, only this time without the single step bouncing. I started 0. I'm headed the right direction. Negative tells me to turn around. 21 says to go 21 times over to here. And then 29 says I have to go 29 steps this way. So I know it's going to be on the other side of 0 because 29 is bigger than 21. But where am I? Well, when I do this, I know that I'm going to be at a positive number. And that means I'm going to go all of 29, but I can take away the part that took me to 21. So this is plus 29 minus the 21. And 29 take away 21 equals 8. See how that sort of, you can see it if you look at the number line. If I go 29 this way, I've stepped 29 times, but 21 of them were just getting me back to 0. So how many steps were left? Well, 29, take away the 21 that took me to get to 0, I'm left with an 8. Learning to visualize addition and subtraction in your head on a number line this way is so helpful as you develop algebraic skills. So this is adding integers using a number line instead of counting methods.